Hello, everybody. It's Rick Ruby down in Charlotte. Welcome to this week's episode of the Street Smart Millionaire, where we explore what it takes to be wealthy and what it takes to be balanced. So this weekend, I was visiting a client I consult to, very wealthy, one of the wealthiest men I've ever known in my life, true billionaire. And I will tell you, his focus, his drive, his commitment, off the charts. I think my focus is really high. I feel my drive is really high. I feel my commitment is super high. When I'm with him, I feel like I'm way behind. So where is your drive? Where is your focus? Where is your commitment? I look at everything in my life for me, what I've learned through the years. I've been in the mortgage business for 41 years. I've been in sales for 44 years. I spent my first 3 years in the mortgage business selling retail furniture in a furniture store. Then I went to a call center in the mortgage business, did that for about 6 months. Then I went into a regular loan rep chasing realtors. So, you got to figure, February of 1984 till, April of 2025. That's 41 years in the mortgage business, chasing realtors, doing loans, closing loans. It's crazy. I look at March, and I'm not a very big mortgage company. I'm a branch in a big company. I work for a big company. And I will tell you, I have 38 loan reps. I closed 235 loans in March, and it was about $91 million in volume. I am in Michigan. I'm in North Carolina, Ohio. I have a lot of lower mortgage amounts. So we do lots of loans. And I got to tell you, 41 years later, I still love the mortgage business. And I was talking to a guy that wants to be my client. He's pretty big. He's pretty big in the mortgage business. He's probably triple my size, and he's not as profitable as me. He doesn't take as good of his people as me. His people don't do as well as me. So we're going to learn the difference between wealth and rich. So I think that people that tell you how big they are probably not very big. People who don't talk specifics about stock market, real estate are probably not very big. And I will tell you that most of the rich people I've met in my life are single because their focus and commitment to their business is the number one thing in their life. Now, I will tell you that, I was married the first time and I wasn't very good at it. And then I was single for about 3 years. And then I fell in love and got married again. I've been married for about 22 years and I work really hard at it because it would be easier for me to go to work. It would be easier for me to, I know that sounds horrible, but it would be easier for me to go to work than it was to raise my children or share my life with somebody. So I'm just telling you, a lot of wealthy people struggle with balance, like I'm sure a lot of you do. And it's maybe you're like me and you've only really been good at work. I wasn't a good athlete. I wasn't a very smart student. I probably wasn't a very good son. I probably haven't been a very good friend as I could have been all these years, but I've been a really good earner. So we're going to talk about today some things that can escalate your wealth and your earning and some guidelines. And we're going to talk a little bit about working in some balance. So for me, I decided to be in the relationship business instead of the transactional business because I wanted to be relational in my life. I wanted to have a relationship with my wife, have a relationship with my kids, have some good friends, have some people I cared about. I just didn't want it to be about making a lot of money, and that's all I was about. So for me, I wanted to find some balance. I think now at 64, I figure who knows how long I have left, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever God wants me to be here, I'm going to work. Because I wonder, what would I do? I ask myself, people why do you still work? Do you have so much money? Well, what else am I going to do? How many cartoons could I watch a day? What am I going to smoke? 4 or 5 cigars a day? I'm a fiend. Drive some old cars. So I don't know. I'm making a big difference in the mortgage business. I'm making a big difference in the coaching business. I'm going to keep working. But listen, I think it's a great time to be a coach is when you don't have to work. I don't have to work anymore. I've saved my money. Just so you know, I was taught by a wealthy man, Bill Wortley, who at the time, 37 years ago, had $6 million in the stock market. So if you escalate that out where it doubles every 7 to 10 years, he would have, who knows how much money he has, but I'm sure he's very wealthy if he kept being a good investor. But he taught me very early on, doesn't matter what you make, matters what you keep. So he taught me the rule of save 20% of every paycheck for 20 years. I ask everybody I meet, if you just saved 20% for the last 20 years, how much money would you have? They're all like, I'd have a lot of money. But the problem is they can't live within their lifestyle exceeds their income. Like they feel like they deserve nice houses, or they deserve better clothes, or they deserve a scooter, or they deserve a better car. You don't deserve anything. You get what you earn. So if you earn those things, you can have those things. So for me, when it comes to accumulation of wealth, it's 20% of your paycheck for 20 years. I've done it for 37 years. That's probably why I have way more money than most of you that are watching this podcast. I'm just a grinder. I haven't invented anything. I'm not super creative. I'm not the most charming person in the world. I'm not the best salesman in the world. But I'll tell you, I'm very focused on one thing at a time. You know, somebody asked me last week what I learned from my dad. My dad's been gone for about 34 years. We weren't close. I left home early when I was 16. I left permanently when I was 17. I didn't come back for 3 to 5 years. I didn't really talk to him much. We never had a really good relationship. Maybe it was the times. Maybe it was the times he grew up in. Maybe it's just how rough I was as a son. Maybe I just wasn't a good son. I made it difficult. Truth I'll tell you what I learned from my dad. I learned 3 things. My dad was the hardest working man I ever know. He always worked a full-time job. He always worked overtime, and he always had a side gig. He delivered topsoil or he'd move furniture. My dad was a hard worker. I will tell you this. I have done him right because I have been a hard worker. I am a 60-hour-a-week worker. Maybe at the best is 50. Maybe at the worst, it might explode to 65. I'm a really hard worker. Today, I've had 6 Zoom meetings with up to 15 people on each one. I've made 35 outbound calls. I literally work nonstop from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. And that leads into the second thing I learned from my dad. My dad could fix anything. I don't know if your dad was like that, but my dad was so handy, and he taught me that, and I'm pretty handy. Like, I live on a farm on the weekend. I live at the lake during the week, and I can fix a lot. I can, fix a garage door opener. I can fix a lot of stuff. I can weld. I could build some hot rods. I'm not a great mechanic, but I'm a pretty good remove something and replace it type of mechanic. I can't analyze what's wrong with the car, but I can look at it, take it apart, put it back together. I'm a pretty good mechanic. I'm a pretty good fixer. Learned that from my dad. Let me tell you what I learned from my dad that we're going to talk about today. Staying focused. Because all wealthy people are really focused. They're really focused. So we're going to learn how to be really focused. Now listen, all wealthy people are hard workers. I'm sure the people in power of the world work a lot of hours. I know the businessmen that I know that do really well work a lot of hours. I mean, they work a lot of hours. I work a solid 60, but I work up 60 that most of you would have to do 80 to get as much done as I get done in 60. So we're going to talk about the second lesson I learned from my dad. The first one, of course, would be a hard worker. The second one, my dad could fix anything. And in his garage, the whole one wall was a racking system. And back then they didn't have Tupperware, big tubs. Remember, everybody has tubs now. They had boxes. So my dad had boxes, and they were all identical boxes. They were not mismatched boxes. My dad was very organized. Each box had big writing on the outside with a marker of what was in it. So this might say lawnmower. This might say dishwasher. This might say washing machine, furnace, his car, my mom's car, vacuum cleaner. So my dad had a box, and in that box was parts and manuals. My dad was big on manuals. Every manual that ever came with a piece of equipment or a car, he kept that manual because that manual was how Google would be today. The manual showed you how to fix it if something was wrong. So my dad had this whole rack, and there must have been, 50 to 100 boxes. I can't remember. I remember when I got rid of it all, I just dumpstered it all. But it was probably 50 to 100 boxes lining the whole wall of his garage. And if my dad was working on the lawnmower would be in the garage on a big plastic tarp. He always did everything on a tarp. And he brought the box down and said lawnmower. He took out all the parts and he worked on the lawnmower. Now here's the secret. When the lawnmower was done, he put that stuff back in the box and put that box on the shelf. I can go from Zoom meeting, the problem, to solution, to calling somebody, to dealing with this, to dealing with that. I can go from thing to thing to thing because all I ever envision is that rack in my garage. Of all those things you got to deal with. So I live on a really tight schedule. I have a mortgage group that is 38 loan reps. I have a coaching company that is 35 coaches. I have about 340 level 3 students that pay me $40,000 a year. I got about 100 students that pay me 20 grand a year, and I got about 600 students that pay me 10 grand a year. I got a new subscription that a lot of you have been joining. I appreciate joining my subscription for $99. That's been blowing up. So if you want to go to my subscription, go to the QR code. If you want to have some accountability, call my office and talk about my different levels. If you're doing over 20 million, you should come to my event May 14th, 15th, and 16th in San Antonio for $5,000. I'll blow you away if you're in the mortgage and real estate business. So there's my commercial. But I will just tell you, that rack of all those boxes to get down and work on and put back just taught me to compartmentalize that whatever I'm working on, like right now I'm working on this podcast, doing this podcast with Sean, I don't think about anything else. I don't think about the day. I don't think about the stock market. I don't think about what I got to do tonight. I don't think about the drama. I got about 2 or 3 drama situations hanging over my head I got to take care of, but I'll deal with them when they're in the schedule to deal with them. But that compartmentalize it. So my dad taught me how to be a hard worker. My dad taught me how to compartmentalize and work on one thing at a time. Put that away before you pick something else. This is a big lesson. I think a lot of you need to learn this. I think a lot of you got 5 boxes going on at 5 times with all kinds of different mess going on. Your mind's all over the place. Your work's all over the place. That's no good. Third lesson my dad taught me. My dad died and I got his final paycheck. And my dad, 34 years ago, when he died, made $9 an hour. He was a garbage man. He made $9 an hour. His house was free and clear. It was worth about 85 grand. And he had 90 grand in the bank and 2 free and clear cars. So my dad was very frugal, probably on the cheap side. My dad believed in saving money for a rainy day. He didn't have any fun. But I will tell you this, I learned 3 things. I learned how to be a hard worker. I learned how to compartmentalize and fix everything and put it all back when you're done with it. And I learned how to be frugal and save for a rainy day. And I would tell you, when I first got started making money, I went against my dad as far as like compartmentalizing, and I went against my dad about saving money. I wish he would have taught me. He didn't really teach me. He never shared his, I never knew what he made. I never knew how his budget went. I always saw him working on something on a legal pad in the kitchen table. I didn't know how to pay bills. Nobody taught me this. So I learned years later how to budget from a guy that had $6 million in the bank. And I was probably 25 years old when Bill taught me how to budget. And he taught me these 4 columns, and these are your bills, and this is what you paid, and this is what you owe, and this is what you gave away, and this is what you saved. So, you know what, I learned that, I mastered it, and I've been teaching that system now. I've been a teacher for 40 years. Well, I've been in the mortgage business for 40 years. I learned the system about 37 years ago. I've probably been teaching it for 35 years. So I'm normally, if I'm good at something, I'm going to teach it to other people because I feel they could learn from it as well. So I learned budgeting. But I'll tell you, I'm a hard worker. I'm compartmentalized one thing at a time, and I'm frugal and save a lot of money. So let's talk about that system that Bill taught me. Wish my dad did, but Bill taught it to me. There's always good teachers out there. You're always got to be seeking out the next teacher. You're in the mortgage and real estate business. You want to seek me out? Track me now. Call me. I just got off the phone with a guy that's a giant name in the mortgage business. He doesn't produce. He owns a company. He's talking about hiring me. He wants me to help him. And I'll tell you the same thing if you're a $20 million loan rep or this guy that does a couple billion a year in his mortgage group. If you're willing to take care of your people, take care of your clients, and you want to make a lot of money, I'm interested. But if you're not willing to take care of your employees, if you're not willing to take care of your clients, and you're not interested in making a lot of money, I have no interest in being around you. This guy was really big, hasn't made much money in the last 4 or 5 years. He's got the wrong attitude. Like every file, you have to make a little profit. That's how it works. So we had a good half-hour Zoom call today, and I don't know if he liked it or didn't like it. I mean, he's pretty big in the industry. I'm pretty big in the industry. If he feels I can help him, requires one thing. He surrenders to my authority. I'll be glad to help. If he ain't going to surrender to my authority, I got no interest. Because I'm telling you, for me as a coach, the wins of my students is the most important thing. That my students break records in income and break records in the bank, that's the most important thing for me. Now, of course, the guy's single, typical, but I'm just telling you that if you want to be balanced, it got to be more than work. It's got to be God, spouse, children, hobbies, recreation, self, family. I mean, there's got to be more to it than just money and work. So gosh, even though my podcast is about Street Smart Millionaire, about wealth and balance, hopefully they spend any time with you around me. You'll see that, spending good time at, like tonight, I got a meeting from 5 to 6 after this podcast. I got a meeting with 3 main guys from 5 to 6. I'll be home at 6:15 tonight. I'll be hanging out with my wife. We'll cook some dinner together. We'll play with the dogs. We're staying at the lake this week. We'll play with the dogs. We'll have some dinner. We'll watch a couple TV shows. She'll go to bed at 10 o'clock. I'll come back down here to the man cave for a meeting at 10 o'clock with a guy that I'm trying to help blow his business up, and we'll do a little coaching for an hour. Then we'll watch a little basketball together and hang out. I'll smoke a cigar, and then I'll call it a day, and I'll be home in bed by midnight. I get up every day at 8:30. I watch a little bit of the stock market in the morning. I start work exactly at 10 o'clock, and normally I work up till 7 o'clock. Then I go back to work from about 10 to 11:30 after my wife goes to bed. On the weekends, Saturday I farmed. I broke down and cleaned the whole barn. I took everything out of the barn. It gets dusty, dirty, wiped every window down, washed the walls down, scrubbed out the whole barn. Now, my barn is 60 by 80. So this is not a little barn, and there's a lot of animals that live in this barn. So there's alpacas and goats and mini donkeys and mini zebus, which is a type of cow. So I have all these animals. I got all the animals out, locked all the doors, scrubbed it all down, cleaned out all the pens. It's all spotless. Took the whole feed room apart, took it apart, broke it down, washed everything, put it all back together. So I scrubbed the whole barn. Then we fed all the animals. Then me and the wife had some eggs for dinner because I got chickens and I got eggs. So I eat a lot of eggs when you have chickens. And then we watched some TV and we hung out. Sunday, I read the Bible. I hung around the house all day and fed the animals and didn't do much. We're pretty lazy on Sunday. Today, back to work on Monday. Here it is, Tuesday, working hard. Went to a game last week. I mean, I'm trying to do some fun stuff, some family stuff, some work stuff. But I'll tell you this. I have a very simple life. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I live at the farm. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I live at the lake. They're about 20 minutes apart. I have a man cave with some hot rods in it that I try to take care of. I'm pretty involved in the stock market. I look at it a couple times a day. I'm not an active trader, but I'm an active watcher. I'm always working hard to coach people on how to make more money, save more money, and give more money. I'm always working on being in good shape, exercising, dieting. I'm really pretty balanced, pretty simple. And I think that you should look at your life and think, is it simple or is it complicated? I have 2 daughters that are about 41 and 38. I have 5 grandkids that range between about 6 and 12. I probably see my kids and my grandkids about 8 times a year because I do work a lot. But when I see them, I try to spend the whole weekend with them. I try to feed them and play games with them and hang out with them and swim with them and, be a good grandpa and do those things. Watch a lot of Zoom meetings, see my kids at their activities on Zoom meetings. So I think that I'm pretty wealthy and I've got pretty good balance. I think that's all you can ask for in your life. But I think if you save 20% of your paycheck and you invest it in the S&P 500 for 20 years, let's figure it out. You make $100,000 a year. You save 20% is $20,000. You save that for 20 years. That's $400,000. The S&P has averaged 11%. That means the money will grow double every 7 years. Let's say it doubles every 10 years. So $400,000 doubled twice in 20 years will be 800, will be $1.6 million. So you can literally make $100,000 a year and have $1.6 million in 20 years. Now, if you're a great earner and you hire me and you're real estate lending, I'll get you to $1 million. You can save $200,000 a year. Okay. If you make $1 million for 20 years, that means $200,000 a year times 20 years, you'll have saved $400,000. With compounding, if we take in effect that all the money wasn't there originally to double, but we put it in the S&P and average 11% and say it doubles twice, that means $200,000 a year times 20 is $4 million. Doubled is $8 million. Doubled again is $16 million. So if you make $1 million a year for 20 years and you follow my rule of 20% invested in the S&P 500 for 20 years, you'll have $16 million in the bank. $16 million. So make $100,000, have $1.6 million, make $1 million of $16 million. Now, house you can afford on $100,000, about $350,000 mortgage amount. House you can afford on $1 million, $3.5 million mortgage amount. So if you want to have a bigger house, make more money. If you want to get a bigger bank account faster, it ain't going to get much faster. It still takes 20 years, but the more money you make, the more the 20% you save. I will tell you this. I think the S&P 500 is the greatest investment in the world. I think you can put money in the S&P. It's averaged 11% for 25 years. It's got 500 companies in it. Some good ones, some bad ones, some big ones, some medium ones, some little ones, Some days something's up, some days something down. I mean, the market is so volatile. Sometimes it's down 2%, sometimes it's up 2%. I currently have not really been investing in March and April. I put my monthly in the beginning of the month, but I put my 20% in, but I haven't done any extra investing. I'll probably mid-April, after I see how everything stabilizes a little bit, I'll probably start investing again and putting some money in. I'm probably liquid 14% of my total net worth. I'm liquid. So I have a lot of liquid money ready to go back in the market. I had sold some stuff when it was winners. I want to teach you about stock market. If you don't take money off the table when there's winners, shame on you. So I had sold a third of my Apple, a third of my Costco. I sold all my Boeing. I sold a couple of the stocks that I had made money in. At this point, I wish I would have sold more, but I didn't. But here's what I'll tell you. Markets will always come back. Always there'll be a next all-time high and the next all-time high and the next all-time high. You're investing in real estate and the stock market for the long haul. You're not investing for the short haul. So you're investing for the long haul. If you need the money in the next 5 years, don't put it in real estate. Don't put it in stock market because the economy does this. So what I'm doing is I'm making circles that are the same size circles, but they always go higher. So the bottom might be here, but then the bottom will be here. Then the bottom will be here. Then the bottom, and so on. So the highs will go higher and the lows will go higher. It's not like the market goes higher, but then the low goes all the way down to the low. We'll never see the lows of '08. We'll never see the lows of the pandemic at 18,000 down. We're not going to see it. So you'll see a new low, but then you'll break a new high. So here's what I will tell you. I think by the end of 2025, the stock market will be up 10% from where it was January 1st. It'll be up 10%. So the stock market was about 5,200 January 1st. I think it'll be 5,700 to 6,000, but I think the S&P 500 will be. The Dow was right around 39,000. I think it'll be 42 or 43,000 by the end of the year. I think that the economy will stabilize. Things will start to go forward. I mean, normally change is good. Even if it's bad change, it's good. Just so you know, I think there's lots of things that need to change in America. We're going through lots of change right now. I'm sure it'll all work out in the long run. If not, it'll work out the next group that's running things. So that's what I will tell you. There's always, in every administration, there's some bad times and some good times. So I think that the economy will stabilize and the stock market will be up 10% for the year. I think AI, cybersecurity are two of my, I like energy, I like healthcare, I like AI, I like cybersecurity. Those are four categories I like. Some stocks I like. I like NVIDIA, I like AMD, I like CrowdStrike and cybersecurity, I like Palo Alto Network, I like United Healthcare, I like the XLE and energy, I like Chevron. These are like 6 or 7 things that I'm invested in. I probably have I have a lot of the S&P, I have a lot of the Invesco QQQ, which is a fund. I probably have total, 15 things I'm invested in total. And I'm probably going to cut that down to 10 as soon as the market rallies. I had bought some speculative stocks, so they got killed when the market goes down, and they rally really hard when the market does well. So when I think the market is stabilized, so the market is falling, when I think it's stabilized and starts to curve back up into U, I will be a buyer right here to here. So between where it is now and its all-time high, I will be a buyer. Because what I'm doing is I'm buying more stocks at a cheaper price. So it's a good time to be a buyer in the next 3 weeks. I'll be a buyer. I will be 100% invested in the market by the end of April. 100% of all my money will be in the market. Now, if it were to crash on top of that, I would just ride it up. But I think if you want any kind of timing at all, I think that right now you're just holding firm. You'd be dumb to sell now because the market's already pulled back 10%. So it'd be dumb to sell now. So I would be a holder right now, and I will be looking at soon becoming a buyer of some of the things you like. You look like NVIDIA 107 or 108. That's super cheap. You look like AMD at 100. That's super cheap. I mean, these are really good stocks that are really low. So I don't know what you like. I don't tell people what to buy. I just tell people what I'm buying, what I'm doing. So right now I'm a holder of the stocks I have. I'm not a seller. I was a seller a month ago, and I freed up about 14% of my portfolio. So I did sell quite a bit of stocks. And so I'm about 86% invested, about 14% liquid, not in bonds, not in T-bills, just liquid, ready to go back in. I think by the end of April, I'll be fully invested in the market, maybe the first week of the May at the latest. I told you what I'll buy: some AI, some cybersecurity, some healthcare, some energy. Those are things I really like. I do love Costco. Is one of my favorite companies, even though I sold a third. As it's dipped down, I'll be buying more Costco back. But man, imagine I sold it at 1,100 and I buy it back at 850. I mean, I've liked it at 1,100. I really love it at 850. So look at the price of what you've paid for it in the past and what the price is now. All lower price stocks are not on sale. Good stocks go on sale. Bad stocks are just cheaper. Be like buying Bell Bot. Sometimes they're popular, sometimes they're not popular. So I think that if you're saving 20% for 20 years and you put it in the S&P, you're doing really well. If you put half of it in the S&P and you have the half in 4 or 5 stocks that you like really well, you're probably going to do really well. There's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some bad times in the economy. Oh, well, you'll get over it. Don't look at it too much when it's going down. Right now, the stock market is on the shelf in the garage, and I'm not really looking at it. So remember, be a hard worker. Number 2, be laser focused on one thing at a time. And number 3, be frugal. Save 20% of your money for 20 years. And remember, I work hard to enjoy my life. My work is not my life, even though sometimes I may act like it. I work hard to enjoy my life. Spending time with my God, Jesus. Spending time with my wife, Britt. Spending time with my kids, Lindsay and Jackie. Spending time with my 5 grandkids. Working on the farm. Building some outdoors. Watching my shows. There's a lot of shows on TV. Gosh, Yellowstone, 1923. I mean, there's a lot of great shows that I like. Matlock was really fun to watch. Taken was a really fun show to watch. So I like a lot of good shows on TV. I like Chicago PD. I like Chicago Med. I like shows that I can get involved in and get to like the character, and it's an ongoing series or an ongoing show. I'm a big fan of Lonesome Dove. I'm watching right now Return to Lonesome Dove, but it's funny. None of the star characters are the same characters, so it's kind of weird watching a character that's played by a different guy than I identify as that character. Listen, simple life is what I want you to have. I want you to be wealthy and balanced. I don't want you to be rich and unhappy. Be wealthy, be balanced. So thank you very much for listening to me. Have a great week. See you next week. Rick Ruby, Street Smart Millionaire, over and out.